Holy cow. We're live, Frank.
It's amazing. I don't know what to do with myself.
Welcome to day 4 on day 3. It is Wednesday night, July 31st, 2024. And I happen to be one of the 3 days that I've been in studio, that I've been in the state of Oklahoma for the past 34 days, and I'm fixing to leave the country for the next 10. So I said, Frank, grab a cold one, get in the studio,
it's time to go live.
Let's knock out a day 4 on day 3.
And I said, yes, let's do it. Because that's how we roll.
It has been quite the journey over the past month, Frank. I have caught smallmouth from Michigan. Okay, I started in Michigan for the Bassmaster Open. I went 22 straight days smallmouth fishing. I started in Michigan, then I drove through Canada, went through Toronto at midnight, towing the boat, just cruising at 120 kilometers while all the little cars went past me. It was wild. You ever been through Toronto?
Yes, I've been.
Dude, isn't it weird? All the buildings are the exact same height, and I didn't realize that till I roomed with Josh at the Bass Nation. He's like, "Yeah, it's because our airport's so close, so you can't have like skyscrapers, so it looks like super sci-fi, like all the windows, everything at night, like it looks like straight out of like a movie."
Yeah, it's a cool town. It is. It's a cool town for sure.
So I went through there. Then we fished Thousand Islands for a couple days. Then we fished Lake Ontario. Then I hung out with Jody White. We fished Connecticut, Vermont, and New York. And then I went from there to Champlain. And then I went seven straight days on Champlain. And then I drove all night to be back home by Monday morning. And then I've racked out 10 BTLs. And then I leave for Scotland in 12 hours. So I have to drive to Dallas after this, meet up with the girlfriend. We fly to Boston tomorrow morning and then over to Scotland where I will fish Loch Ness.
You have to, dude. You'll be catching trout and landlocked salmon.
I have no idea what we're catching. It's just the experience.
That's cool.
Please tell me that over the past month you have just been stroking them on the Great Lakes and all your little lakes in Ohio, Frank.
I am going to be as honest as I can. I have fished the least amount this month than I ever have.
What?
Yeah, I have had a lot. There's been a lot. Dude, there's just been a lot. I mean,
catch me up on speed.
Okay, so
that's not the saying. Catch me up on speed. I think I just asked for some hardcore drugs. I think.
You may have, and I may know a guy who knows a guy.
What is the saying? Catch me up to speed.
Get me up to speed.
Get me up to speed on what you've been doing. What a great start to the return, and we're canceled.
And we're done, and we're blackballed. No, I mean, I went fishing probably since you've been gone. I've probably only gone fishing 5 times since you've been
once
gone.
A week,
maybe twice in 1 week, and missed a week and a half. So my house was built in 1914. It is old. Okay,
it's 110 years old, Frank.
Right. So there is no straight lines in this house. Like if you drop a marble on the floor, you don't know which way it's going, but it's going some way. All right. So I noticed a little bubble on the ceiling in the hallway that splits the dining room from the living room, and didn't pay much attention to it. It was probably right around before Christmas time. Didn't pay much attention to it. 1850s. So Tech, you know the drill, what I'm about to get into. You know the drill. So that was around Christmas time. Mm-hmm. Then I noticed that the bubble had expanded, and there was a couple of more little tiny bubbles. Nothing crazy, nothing that looked horrible. And the house shifts, and because of all the lath and plaster, when the house shifts, you'll get cracks in the wall or cracks in the ceiling, and you just carve them out, fill them up, repaint, no big deal. Well, this turned out to be catastrophic, because what wound up happening was I noticed it was really bad, getting really bad, and I got on a ladder and I got up there and started poking the ceiling, found a soft spot. I cut the soft spot out, and it was damp. So clearly it's water, and it's right above my bedroom shower. And it turns out the shower pan was busted and leaking. And so I took out 6 feet of hallway ceiling and ripped out half the shower.
Oh, that'll cut into your fishing.
Yeah. So, and of course, you know, I design colors and lures for a living. So I had all that in the mix too. And so between painting baits and designing colors and knocking out lath and plaster and tile and concrete, the whole 9 yards, it's been, let me just put it to you this way, Matt. I wish I was traveling with you. Because I've about had it in this place. I'm ready to go. In fact, I'm not doing anything tomorrow. I'm going fishing.
You're going fishing?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I told my wife, if I don't get out of this house, someone's getting hurt. So
where are you headed? Are you allowed to?
I am not allowed to disclose the lake location.
Okay. Well, this reminds me. So I grew up. I got to share this. I got to make sure I share the video. So I grew up watching this show. My dad was a weekly viewer of public broadcast station. And this guy was like a legend to me growing up. And you're about to do some Bob Vila, This Old House renovations.
Oh, am I Vila in it, man?
Do you remember the Bob Vila, This Old House?
100%.
Yeah, listen to it. Here we go.
Auto, home, life, and health. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Look at him. Dude, it didn't matter. He was always
Hi, I'm Norm Abram. Welcome to This Old House.
Norm Abram.
So it's a three-ring circus around here today. Over there in the field in those yellow and white tents is where Steve is. He's supposed to be here opening the show, but he'd rather be over there learning how to timber frame. And I'll go and take you over there to meet him in a few minutes. But first I want to show you the scale. As to
dude, do you not remember this show?
So, carries the water and local nurseries nationwide.
This show was awesome.
Now, these stairs are massive. And Federal Express isn't going to take it.
Golly, dude. Do you see how young he was there, man?
I thought it was it not Bob Vila? That was Norm Abram. Did Bob Vila do it before Norm Abram?
After.
Okay, so I jumped in the Bob Vila era. I must have pulled up one that was too old. But yeah, I've watched just about every episode of This Old House.
Yeah, so and if anybody has an old home, you'll know that nothing is what it seems. There is attaboy, Johnny. Keep the drive alive, man. Nothing is as it seems. And my buddy, he came over to help me do the concrete, and he said, "Stop what you're doing. You're going to open up a can of worms and it's never going to end."
Yeah.
So I had to find a place on this project that I could
where you just stop,
because I don't like the trap that they have in there. It's called a canister trap. It's an old form of a trap.
Yeah. And
I said, I want to replace it, and I want to make my drain tube from the bathroom 2 inches instead of 1.5 inches. And he's like, well, we could do that easy enough, but that's over the dining room. We're going to have to take down part of the ceiling and the wall in the dining room. I'm like, you know what? That trap looks pretty good to me. So I'm not touching it, because I'm not going down this road.
Yeah, so, once you start digging in a 1914 house, you never stop.
Oh, it doesn't end. And
it's like when you say, I'm going to reorganize the tackle room.
Oh, that takes me
literally an hour in, you're like, oh, this is going to be awesome. 3 hours in, you're like, maybe I shouldn't have looked in that box. And then like 8 hours in, you're like, this was the worst idea ever. And then you end up with the same crap that wasn't organized, except it's now not organized in a different box because you had dumped it all out at one point because you're going to hang every single one and replace every single treble.
Correct.
You can never organize the tackle ever. Like You could never organize the tackle and then get it done. It's like opening a can of worms with a 1914 house.
It is. It absolutely is. The only thing you do is you put your old, you put your Frank the Tool Man. Not quite, Mr. Jeffrey. That's, dude. All you do is you take the old tackle that you wanted to clean up and organize, you put it in a new box and in a different corner, and you're 100% right.
I've done the same thing.
You're 100% right. And here, look, we're going into the house stuff.
Yeah, I don't care. Just keep going. Who knows what the heck we're talking about today?
Absolutely. Yeah, Frankie did offer to help me. He did. But I'm an impatient SOB, and so
yeah. Dude, I've been to your house. Isn't it like 6 stories between the basement and the very top? Like, no, seriously, isn't it? So you've got the basement where the magic happens.
Basement.
And then you've got that's where the kitchen and stuff is.
Yeah.
And then there's like all the kids' rooms were on the 2nd floor, right?
And then a 3rd floor with 2 bedrooms and a full bath.
That's where your studio is, on the 3rd floor.
No, my studio is actually an office off of my main bedroom.
Oh, okay. So you got 4 levels.
If you include the basement, yes.
Yeah, 100%, because you spend more time in the basement than anywhere else, probably.
Oh, 100, absolutely. I mean, I'm a cellar dweller.
Yeah.
I feel like one of those creatures.
But you're to a point. I mean, like, where is it now? Like, do we have stuff tore up, or is it starting to get put back together? Or?
Yeah, the ceiling is still tore off. The shower has now been, the pan's in, the concrete's in, the pan's in. The layer of concrete on the pan is done. The cement block, the cement board is in. I'm going to seal the cement board and then tile it. And then I'm going to, use the shower for 3 or 4 days and make sure nothing else is leaking. And then I'll finish the ceiling.
So have you had like any good days on Erie this year yet? Like, have you had any good Great Lakes smallmouth go out and smoke them on the glacial deposits?
No, I haven't fished Lake Erie less in the last 3 years than I ever have in my entire life. I'm almost.
You don't have an itch to go out there?
Yeah, I do, and I don't. I do, but the smallmouth fishing where I live is okay. It's not fantastic. I have to drive to get to the really, really good smallmouth fishing. And so what happens is I'm passing by lakes that I'm like, I could smash them over here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so
I hear you.
And I'll be honest with you. I got a bug up my butt about this inland smallmouth fishing. It's not easy. And so it was kind of like a challenge. So I've been focusing a lot of it inland, and when I get on them, I'm having really good days inland, and some of them, like some of the smallmouth I'm catching, you wouldn't know if they were on Lake Erie or inland. They're huge. So I can't get upset about that. But our inland smallmouth fishing is very different than like Champlain, Oneida, those lakes that you just came from. It's nowhere near like that. It's almost true, pure structure fishing, and they're very nomadic. They move like crazy. So one day you'll crash them, the next day they'll be gone. And so it's really different fishing. It's been kind of a challenge. There's a couple of lakes that I haven't fished a whole lot that I'm really trying to learn and spend time on. So like I went out one day and I didn't even fish. All I did was side image. I just went out and side imaged, and then I'll go back and fish it, another time. But because if I start fishing, then I'm not looking to figure things out. Inland smallmouth, return for Frank.
Yeah. Smallmouth in lakes where you can see the shore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. To your point, yeah, I do miss the big lake. I do miss it, but If I go there, if I have to make the trip to go where I want to go, I'm not doing.
You're committed.
I'm not doing it in one day. I'm going to spend a couple of days up there and make a deal out of it. You know what I mean? To go one day and start poking around and looking, you may not find them or find what you want to find until half the day's over. And then it's like, well, crap, if I have one more day here, I could slaughter.
And then you also don't want to be out on the Great Lakes at dusk or night, because if something does go wrong, then you're on the Great Lakes all night.
Right. And you're by yourself. Well,
yeah.
I'm by myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you know, I have to congratulate you. I know I text you and stuff. Congratulations on your tournament finish. That was a
Thank you. Bass Nation Regional. Basically, what, if you catch up to speed, what the Bass Nation does is, instead of you can still make the national championship through your state team if you finish in the top, like they did, like the top 5% of however many people fish in your state. So, but then if you didn't, you could register as an at-large bid. They had 4 regionals. One was on the Arkansas River in Oklahoma. One was in Alabama on Lake Eufaula. One was at La Crosse. And then this last one was at Lake Champlain. So naturally I said, why would I drive an hour and a half to the Arkansas River when I could drive 27 to Lake Champlain?
Yeah, except if you compare the fisheries, I would take the 27 hours in a minute.
Yeah, no, it was slightly, but thanks. No, I got the job done. I ended up finishing 4th there. You actually know the guy who won, I think.
Yeah, Mark Burgess won it. I got to give him a shout out, because when I started fishing the opens to qualify for the elites, that's where I met Mark.
Okay.
And we became fast friends, actually. And good victory on him. He deserves it. He's a really good guy.
I'd love to. Seemed like a really good dude.
Dude, I'd love to have him on day 4.
Get him on.
I'm gonna call him. We'll get him.
He doesn't have to make any money for the next couple of weeks. He made $9,000.
That a boy. That's a good get.
He did it on largies.
Did he?
Yeah, he had like 23 pounds of largies on the final day, Frank. And he mentioned square billing and chatterbaiting and flipping.
Perfect. See, here, I'm going to just tell you. You asked me a question a while ago. You said, what's your favorite lake?
Yeah.
And Champlain is my favorite lake. Okay. I just love the lake. There's a lot of reasons I love the lake. Because for one, it's such a diverse fishery. And what I mean by that is you could obviously you could largemouth fish or you could smallmouth fish, obviously. But what I mean by diverse fishery is you could structure fish it, you could bank fish it, you could grass fish it. This lake has a lot of personalities depending on where you're at in the lake, you know, what the weather conditions are doing. This lake is just so, it's spectacular. I mean, if you really want to learn how to fish, that's a lake that you should go to, because it has every opportunity in fishing that you could possibly have in one body of water, and it can all be effective. So it's just one of my favorite places.
This will really get you going. His best bait was a Yum woolly hog craw rigged on a 4/0 VMC heavy duty flipping hook and a 3/8 ounce weight. And if it was clear water, he'd use the green pumpkin woolly hog craw, and then he'd dye the tails orange.
Perfect. Because they have a crawdad in there that's it's muted olive and orange, and I'll be honest with you, St. Clair has the same type of crayfish in it, and it's very specific to those lakes, and it is literally marbled olive and orange. It's literally marbled that way.
Is that the rusty crayfish?
No, the rusty craw. We're going to go back to Champlain.
Okay.
But we're going to do the signature series, guys, since we're not going to be on tomorrow.
Okay.
This next signature.
Oh, are you sneaking this in right now?
You said rusty craw, dude. You said rusty
craw. I'm
craw.
going full screen. You got it with you?
I have it. So,
oh, I was not expecting this.
I know, dude. It was just a spur of the moment.
Have at it. Have at it. Let's see this thing.
So the Rusty Craw is coming out in a Bandit 200. It's a color I painted. It's called Rusty Bucket. All right. Rusty Buckets. It's coming out tomorrow. And so get up
August
early.
1st, Thursday, yeah. August 1st.
Get up early and get after it. So here's the reason I did it. The rusty crayfish is insanely common crayfish in the United States. All right. And it's got a region. It's kind of a northeastern region. So you'll see them a little bit like right around the Mason-Dixon up north, but towards the east. But this crayfish is now considered an invasive species because it's literally traveling across the country and it's overpopulating everything. So in some states, it's considered invasive because they didn't used to be there. Now they're taking over. So I thought I would do a color, and I modeled after the Rusty Craw. The color's Rusty Buckets. It's coming out in the Bandit 200.
Oh my gosh, Frank.
And so that's what you're gonna get.
Dude, that's gonna last an hour
tomorrow. And so if you guys look up the crayfish and you see that it's got a really bluish green olivey variant in it, and then it's got rusty patches on its thorax, and it's very distinct when you see it. It's a very cool crayfish.
God, we'll just look one up.
I knew you would, Matt. I knew it. So here's the deal, okay? So whenever I'm fishing rocks, rock piles, rocky banks, riprap, and I'm fishing it in that 2 to 8 foot zone, yeah, that's the Rusty Craw right there. Now it's out of the water, so it doesn't look as blue, but in the water, it's more.
Hold up your deal again. Dude, you nailed it.
Oh yeah.
Look at that. There's the green, there's the brown, there's even that kind of orangey, like right in here, this kind of orangey spot that you're talking about.
That's why they call it the rusty crayfish, because of that orange spot on its sides of his carapace. So anytime I'm fishing in water that's 2 to 8 feet, all right, if I'm throwing a crawdad imitator and I'm throwing a natural one, because that's what they're up there feeding in. And the Bandit 200, that's its depth range. And Matt, you remember this back in the day. It's so funny how everything changes in fishing with lures. Okay. This particular bait gets hot and everybody's got to have it, like the jig and minnow today. Okay. Yeah. If you don't have a slew of them in your boat, you're not fishing today. And so back in the day when I was coming up through the opens, if you didn't have Bandit 200s, you weren't bass fishing. It was the most amazing thing ever. And so I really wanted it in this bait because the 200 Bandit in that 2 to 8 foot range is just an absolute.
Hold it up again. Get it close to the camera. Give it a nice little. Good Lord. That is freaking cool. That's different than anything I've ever seen. It's got like the little orange bud on it, which I assume resembles the pinchers.
Yeah, the ends of the claws. But yeah, so the rusty bucket.
What's the bottom look like? Justin said, show us the bottom of that bad boy. Okay. Yeah, definitely the greenish hues, where if you pull this up, look at how green it is down there.
Right, and if you see, there's other pictures of them because I use those pictures to paint this dang thing. But yeah, so it's a cool bait. I'm excited because there's a couple other colors coming up real soon that I really like a lot. I have a spook color coming out. I have a DD22 color coming out. So it's starting to get really exciting for me. But yeah, so I mean, that's what I've been doing.
There it is in the water.
Yeah, there you go.
And then hold your bait up again. Yeah, I'd say you nailed it. So 600 of those drops on Lurenet on third. You know what time? Yeah, just check tomorrow. Start early.
Tomorrow, start early. Yeah,
600 limited edition. And if you use the code
BTL24,
capital BTL24, no spaces, 15% off regularly priced items. And if you're in Canada, you can now get it as well.
Right. It's Canadian shipping now is available. Also, the BTL24 code works on everything. Great Lakes Finesse is stocked. To my knowledge, it's stocked. So you'll want to check out some of the new stuff in that department.
I promise you, Frank, in the fishing industry, I kid you not on this, you are the only person that is selling out crankbaits right now.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Yeah, there's no question about it.
You're the only guy that's selling out crankbaits.
I'm probably the only guy still throwing them too.
Nah, we got some guys out here. We got some crankbait diehards that listen to every show.
Oh yeah, I just, the saddest thing on earth is I live for this time of year for how I like to fish, and probably for the first time in God knows how long.
Dude, that's not a bad idea. Finish your thought, and then I want to come back to this because I think I just hit on something.
Yeah. So, and this year I've fished the least during my favorite time to fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I will be honest, the times I went out, I smashed them.
Okay.
Smashed them.
You need to be able to sign up for the Frank Scalish Lure of the Month Club. Just like a bottle of wine. And it comes every single month and you pay whatever it is per month. And then you don't even have to worry about jumping on a Thursday morning and using the code BTL24.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Uncle Frank subscription. No. I paint the signature series. I paint the limited run editions. I paint shop stuff. I paint stuff for retail. Yeah, I need to fish more, man. I'm gonna have to ride on your coattails, dude.
You could just be like me and fish 23 days and just let every other aspect of your life just go right down the toilet.
Well, I tried that and my shower broke.
my life broke, Frank.
Yeah, well, you'll have that.
But it was totally worth it. But
yeah, but Frankie and I were talking earlier today. We wanted to take off for 4 or 5 days and go fishing somewhere, and I'm like, we should go to Champlain if we go somewhere.
Well, the Elite Series is going there right now, so
it's not going to happen.
Yeah, they're going to be up there this following week. They are going to murder them. It might very well be one on largemouth after what I saw and after what went down in the Toyota Series.
Well, the funny thing is the tournament that I took second on up there, I didn't fish for largemouth. In fact, I'll be honest with you. When I go up there, I never fish for largemouth. I don't even look for them. If I find them while I'm smallmouth fishing, that's a bonus for me. But I always smallmouth fish. So the funniest thing is that the year that I took second up there, I found the fish in grass in about 8 feet of water, and the smallmouth were in it, and they were buried up in the milfoil. And what the smallmouth wanted was they wanted the clumps of milfoil, but there had to be cabbage grass growing around it. And in the area that I was at, the cabbage grass was the most prevalent and the milfoil was not. And the smallmouth wanted the milfoil. So it was very easy to pinpoint where they were because I just would start running down these cabbage grass edges. And as soon as I saw clumps of milfoil, I'd start fishing it.
On your 2D.
Yeah, 2D and with my eyeballs.
Oh, okay.
And so I would start fishing it, and that's where the big smallmouth were. Every now and then I'd catch a good largemouth. So I ran to another section of the lake, and it was mostly milfoil. And I started flipping all the milfoil, and I wasn't catching anything. Well, there was
that's not good on Champlain, Frank.
No, there was a small clump of cabbage grass surrounded by milfoil. Pitched in there, my jig went down, my line stopped, and I lifted up on it, and it gave me a couple of head shakes. Wasn't violent like the smallmouth. I reeled up. This was in practice. I reeled up and kept them on, came up to the surface, and then she let the jig go, and it was about a 4 or 5 pound largemouth. So I marked it in my GPS. And the irony of the story is, in the tournament, I was catching all the smallmouth, and it was where that largemouth was fairly far. And Matt, you could attest to this. Champlain can get nasty rough.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It would have been a risk to run there for one bite. Because we had weather. So it would have been a risk to run there for the one bite because it would have taken too much time. So I stayed on the smallmouth, caught them, no big deal. Next day came around, I ran back to the area where I was catching the smallies, caught them, and I caught a couple of largemouth in the mix, which was good. The third day of the tournament, I went to where I was catching all my fish and caught them again, but I could call, and I knew I could call, but I needed that largemouth to call. So I told my non-boater, I said, we're going to go for a ride for a bite. You care? He's like, I don't care. It's your tournament. So I ran all the way over there and caught that largemouth, and I think it was like 5 pounds. And so I called with it, and then was leading the tournament by a lot. And so I'm like, I'm going to win this one. So Iconelli was screwing around with me in the weigh-in tanks, and he pulls out a giant largemouth. He goes, yeah, I got 5 of them. I'm going, come on, dude. He goes, yeah, I got 5 of them. I'm like, no, man. And he goes, I'm kidding with you, man. He goes, I only caught 3. And I'm like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. And so I'm leading. I weigh in and I'm leading it. And the whole tournament is weighed in, and I'm going to win it. There's only like 1 guy left or 2 guys left. And I got it won. The last flipping dude to weigh in weighs in a 26 and change bag of largemouth. And he beats me by less than a pound.
Oh my God.
I was devastated, man. I was happy.
Yeah.
But
you're happy that you got beat. You didn't give it to the guy. Like, I mean, you got beat by
I got beat. Yeah, I got beat.
There's nothing you can do about that. It's devastating, but it's not one that lingers.
Right, because it wasn't a mistake on my part.
Yeah.
It's
like when Burgess came in with 23. I was doing the math, and I was like, well, would have needed 21. I would have needed 20, almost 21 on day 2. 20 and a half, 21. Like, I mean, he caught him. He had 62 plus.
Yeah, 100%. You're catching them. You're catching them at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's what Champlain has to offer. And here, the craziest thing is like the first tournament that I fished there, I never saw the lake before. I took 7th or 8th. I don't remember, 7th or 8th. And I caught them all on the inland sea. I caught every fish in the inland sea. The second tournament that I fished there, it was either 7th or 8th. I don't know which one was which. And I never caught them there. I never went there. Completely different section of the lake. The second place finish, I did completely the opposite of what I did in the other events. 100% completely the opposite of what I did. That's why that lake is so appealing to me, because it has a lot to offer.
Oh, it's got more than a lot to offer. It literally has everything to offer.
Right.
Except spotted bass.
Yeah, I know.
But I mean, name a way that you can't catch a fish out there.
I can't think of one. I can't think of one. I've caught them deep drop shotting in 18 to 25. I've caught them cranking. I've caught them
flipping seawalls, docks, top 100%. Water, dragging the bottom, jig, crankbait, jerkbait, Alabama rig,
Carolina rig,
spoon, everything.
Oh yeah, top waters, you name it. I mean, it's such a cool fishery.
Yes, Frank Jr., you could probably catch one out there on a banjo minnow.
That's cheap because that's too much
Right.
like a fluke style.
Yeah, all the banjo minnow is a fluke, which is
Right.
actually a brilliant design because now everyone nose hooks the fluke with the hitchhiker in the nose, so it gets
100%.
more action. You can throw it on a spinning rod.
Absolutely, you can skip it a mile.
You're literally throwing a banjo minnow, folks. No, it's a badass lake. It was the first time that I'd spent any time on it, and I immediately fell in love with it. Yeah,
you did good, man.
Thank you. It was fun. The problem was, so I went 20.5 on the first day, about what I expected I could do. Had a 4.5, fish clean. The second day, so that night, I'm sitting there and I roomed with Josh he's a firefighter from Toronto.
Okay.
And we did like a live show, and all of a sudden we're like, man, does it seem like really windy to you? Yeah. And so we then our phones go off and there's like a special weather statement. We're like, what the hell? Like, it wasn't supposed to be anything. And it was that section of the lake that went through the inland sea was a freak supercell. And it blew 50 to 60 miles an hour, dumped 1.5 inches of rain, and then the wind changed direction. And it didn't touch Ty. It didn't touch any of the other parts. It literally was a wedge that went from where we were staying through the inland sea, where I was fishing.
Perfect.
And I was like, wonder what the hell that's going to do. He goes, I have no idea. Never been here. I said, that's interesting, but there's no way when you're fishing pelagic smallmouth on alewife that much wind and weather change doesn't impact something.
Oh, it has to, because it moves the plankton, which is what the alewives feed on.
Okay, well, listen, you're getting ahead of the story.
Sorry, man. My bad.
Because I need your opinion on this, which I think he just, is that called, not called jumping the shark? What's that called? What's that called when you get ahead of the story?
Jumping the gun.
Jumping the gun.
Matt, we're going to have to work on your nomenclatures, man.
Jumping the shark is a phrase, but what is that? I just heard that one. What does jumping the shark mean?
I'm not afraid to ask. I would
it's
look
like
it up
based on a show. Jumping the shark is a term used to argue that a creative work or entity has reached a point at which it has exhausted its core intent. Okay, so we do not want this show to ever jump the shark.
No, we don't.
Okay, I literally just watched a documentary on this phrase. It was some sort of movie, and like in the movie, the guy actually jumps the shark, and everyone watching the movie was like, it was at that point where they realized that like that franchise had run its course. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
Look, I'm showing you right here. Look, here it is. He's jumping the shark. You ready?
Yeah.
He's about to jump the shark.
Right into the boat dock.
And there's supposed to be a shark in there.
It's Fonzie.
Wait, there's the shark. See the shark?
Yeah.
That's where the phrase came from, Frank.
That was the end of Happy Days right there.
Yeah, that was so. Anyway, so you jumped the gun.
I jumped the gun. My bad. So go back anyway, to where you were.
So I get out there the second day, and I caught 30. I was balance beaming 380s on the first day with a 4.5. Had 20.5 pounds. I actually left them kind of at 10:30 or 11. Because I thought I had another spot that I had a better chance to catch a 5. It turned out I just ate 3-footers and then speared a couple. It was a horrible decision, but I made it anyway. So I roll in on the second day and I catch a couple, and I'm like looking at one of the cool things with forward facing sonar is it tells you so much under the water. And the first day it was a really clean screen, and the bait was all grouped up, and the white perch were down near the bottom. The yellow perch were down near the bottom. Not a lot of dirt on the screen at all. Fish were either singles, 2s, 3s. Later in the afternoon, they kind of grouped up in 3s or 4s. Typically, if you saw a big ball of alewife, you knew within a couple hundred feet there'd be 3 or 4 fish hanging out. Pluck them off. Bite to sea ratio was probably like 90%.
Oh, that's good, man.
I mean, if you saw it would bite. On day 2, I get there and I'm like, man, like the screen was dirty, like dirty. The alewives, no balls of them. They were. You there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They were blown up. There was alewife all over. There was bait fish mixed in. The white perch were in schools of 50 to 100. They were high in the water column. They were picking off bait. The bass weren't grouped up. It was just a disaster. It looked like it had been through a washing machine in there. The 3 big ones that I did hook that were all 3 3/4 to 4 pounders. I landed one that was a 3.9. They all jumped off or pulled off at the boat. I mean, the rest of them were, pegged in the roof of the mouth. They were eating it with a vengeance. It was a totally different deal. And I stayed on it for 6 hours. And when I left there with an hour and a half left to fish, I had a 12.5-pound limit in my box, Frank.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah, that's tough.
And I only had like one other area, and that was the area I'd been to the day before that I didn't upgrade. Thank God I made the decision to run there because I went 3, 3.5, 3 1/4, 3-pounder, called out my 4 2-somethings, ended up with 16.5 and made the cut, and then went right back to that same spot on the third day where I was the first day that sucked on the second day. Dude, it was right back like it had been. Yeah, clean screen, wife balled up, giants everywhere. It was like frickin' SeaWorld down there. And I caught 21.5.
Yeah, because the front that came through had wind with it, a lot of wind,
tons of wind. It blew 60.
Yeah, so the water became real turbid. The plankton was now spread out everywhere. It wasn't in the blowing in the nice tight areas, and the bait fish were scattered because they could feed on it all over the place. I mean, dude, that lake. I fished. The worst finish I had there was a 35th place finish, and I had the family with me, and I wasn't spending the time on the lake. I was getting off the water at 3 to do the family thing. I was trying to do a combination of both. And
I remember, I think you told that story one time where you're like, "That's it, I'm fishing by myself."
Right, 100%. Well, that's exactly what happened. We had a weather condition change. That the wind changed direction on us. The fish that I had found weren't doing what they were doing, and I didn't make the adjustment. Okay, at least you made the adjustment. I did not make the adjustment. The next day, the wind was still out of the same direction. It was nasty. I grabbed Frankie with me. He was a little runt then. I grabbed Frankie with me, and I said, I told Rachel, I said, Frankie and I are going fishing for a couple hours this morning, and then we'll come back and we'll go. And so I had a hunch where I made my mistake, and I run out there. I get off the grass edges that I was fishing and off the shelves that I was fishing, and started honking a jerk bait around. Immediately caught a couple of giants, and I just went, damn it. I thought about it in the tournament, and I didn't do it. And if I would have done it, those fish didn't leave the area. They just changed what they were doing and how they were relating to it. And I was pissed.
I don't know where these fish went because I spent 6 hours, and after I made 2 passes and it didn't look right, I literally went, okay, I'm going to go 1/8 of a mile to the right and make a pass, not 1/8 of a mile to the other side. And I just kept expanding. Then I went to a different part of the inland sea. Still didn't see them there. I just kept expanding. It took me 6.5 hours to realize it. Now, thank God I made that call at the end of the day, which I credit to have been on the water for 20 days to have the guts to go do that. But it was the weirdest thing I'd ever seen, Frank, on and then they were right back there on the next day, 12 hours later, and it was glass calm on that day, and it was right back. I don't know where those fish went though. Were they just spread out because they weren't relating to the bait? Did they actually go to the bottom? Did they move a half mile away? We've got the technology to be able to see them now.
Well, but
I did not see them. They were not where they had been. But
you won't see them if they're in the rocks on the bottom.
Well, Frank, it was 50 foot deep.
Well, then they weren't there.
That's what I'm saying. Where did they go?
Yeah, no, they weren't there. Who knows? But it's amazing to me how wherever they went, they came right back to that same place.
Yeah.
Because
with a vengeance, there were more of them there the third day and bigger ones the third day.
Yeah, because there must be something really unique about that area that the bait fish like it. I mean, there's a lot of.
It was a very day 4 map study spot. Now I'll say this. So it was off limits for a month, and I called one of my buddies who's from up there, and I said, I don't want your waypoints. I don't want rocks. I don't want any of that stuff. Just give me an area that I can go do what I like. And he gave me the inland sea. So,
yeah. Dude,
so I spent 4 days in the entire inland sea, and I found a couple different stretches in there that they were, I mean, and it didn't look any different than anything else, except for if you were looking at a map and you could look at it and go, oh, it makes sense why they're within a quarter mile of this.
Right. And see, the funny thing is, the first time I fished there, that's where I went. I never been on the lake before. I knew nothing about the lake. I looked at my maps and I said, you know what? This is going to do more for me than it's going to be more fishing like the Great Lakes than anywhere else in this body of water. And I can cover it. So I'm going there. And it was like manna from heaven.
Dude, so I made 2 probably the best calls that I've made in tournament fishing in this event. And it didn't really matter because they were on day 3. What it mattered was it was a $2,000 decision. 2 decisions that made me an extra $2,000. One was I had basically, I'd say, a run. So there was like what I would consider the juice. Then there was like the top of the run and then kind of the bottom of the run. Makes sense. It's probably about a half mile. I mean, it's a lot of freaking water.
That's a big stretch.
And I'd been catching them in the middle and more towards the top. And I started to notice that I was seeing less groups. And I was like, well, maybe I'm spending too much time in this area. I need to go hit a new section of it. And I haven't really explored the lower end. But the last time I made a drift, when I started down and started working my way up this drift because it was calm, I said I caught one immediately. So maybe instead of starting where they were, like if I start even further down, they're still down there. So I made a further move down to where I hadn't fished before. And I mean, at this point I had 18 hours on this stretch. I mean, you can't even see the contours of it. And I dropped the trolling motor and I caught a 503.
Oh God.
And it was like a quarter mile change, but it was interesting that something in my head said, go a half mile past where you'd been fishing and work your way up. Then the second one that I made was I kind of reached a stagnant point where I was catching a bunch of 3 3/4, but I wasn't seeing those big ones that I thought, were giants. Right. And I was still catching good quality fish about every 10 minutes. And I told my I said, it'd be stupid to make a run. I said, I got a spot where I caught a 5 in practice, but it's a 20-mile run. We've only got an hour and a half left. I said, I'm going to grind it out here instead of taking that time to run. And I went to another spot, and it just in the back of my mind, I thought, dude, you'll never know what that other spot could have had. It was where I caught those 4 at the end of the day before, even though they were just 3s. And I said, strap your shit. We're making the run. We'll have 20 minutes to fish.
Yeah, dude. 100%.
And it was feeling dead there. And it was a move I wouldn't have made had I not had the ultimate confidence. I already had 20 and a half. I made the run. I dropped the trolling motor. And I had 20 minutes to fish. And my first bite was a 456.
Oh, man.
Called out a 390. And it was about an $1,100 difference.
Yeah, dude, I
mean, dude, I reeled into it and I said, that's her. And she jumped and it looked like freaking Shamu. I mean, it was one of those big bodied 4.5 pounders. I said, oh my God. And it called a 4.
Yeah, that's money, dude. I mean, here, look, that's how fishing goes. When you're fishing good, that's how fishing goes. You just make those decisions and they pay off. When you're scrambling, those decisions most of the time don't pay off.
Yep. While we're talking about my fishing adventure. So I did spend 3.5 days on Thousand Islands and Lake Ontario. And I got to pull this thing up. I was massively impressed with the new Great Lakes Finesse football head.
Oh yeah, it's money, dude.
Dude, that thing so I was pairing it with 2 things. Straight up Z-Man TRD, which I was shocked with that collar. It stayed on incredibly well. And then also the Max Set Ned. Dude, that hook in the 1/4 ounce and the 3/8 ounce is a lethal Ned head for smallmouth.
Oh yeah, dude.
I mean, dude, I can't tell you. I ruined all my quarter ounces because I couldn't get the bend of the hook out of the roof of their mouth. I'm not kidding.
No, you're not kidding. You're not kidding at all, because I've been fishing them also. And the irony of it is I've been actually largemouth fishing with them, and I've experienced the same thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to ruin another hook because I can't get it out.
That right there with the gamakatsu in it.
Yeah.
Dude, that if you're looking for a heavier Ned, so I that's a heavy Ned deal, right? If you're looking for a fifth, a quarter, a 3/8, just use this freaking thing. It's it's ideal.
Yeah, you're right. It's lethal. I mean, you keep them hooked, they get hooked, and you keep them hooked. For whatever the reason, everything's perfect about it, and they're usually hooked in the right part of the mouth. I haven't had one that wasn't hooked good. And I was out 2 weeks ago largemouth fishing with that, and was catching 4-pounders, and they were jumping. I let them jump. I let them do everything. And it's money.
Yeah, that is the most badass finesse, the most badass shaky head, or not shaky head, Ned head that I've ever used in my life.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%, man.
I mean, I probably caught 40 to 50 smallmouth on it. And now I will say I did have one where the hook point turned over.
Yeah, the hook.
But I'm also dragging the thing 30 foot on the bottom over zebra mussels.
Oh yeah, but it's surprisingly snag resistant.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm sold on it.
I put a craw on the thing and largemouth fished with it, and I was like freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, this is.
You don't even have to like set the hook. You just lean on them and it just slices into them. And there's the way that the head and the collar fits, like the way that this head and collar fits either that the little Great Lakes craw or just any style of Ned. It's like the perfect size hook with the diameter of the wire on it too, to be able to throw that 8 to 10 pound test and feel like you're not going to open it up, but you're also going to have good hook penetration.
Yeah. See, and I was putting a spine craw on it, and I was like freaking out because I had my daughter's boyfriend with me, and he doesn't fish a lot. And so I had to give him something he could use. So I put that on one of my spinning rods, 12-pound braid, 10-pound fluoro. Mm-hmm. I said, just throw it out, let it hit the bottom and scoot it along the bottom. And when it feels funny, just lean back on it. And he caught his personal best twice with me in the same day.
Nice.
We wound up, between him and I, we wound up catching close to 60 largemouth.
It does. All I was fishing with it was heavy rock, and it did exceptionally well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exceptionally well.
I did go smallmouth fishing this spring on the lake, but by my house, and I was throwing that, and in giant, craggy, like stupid stuff that you like. If you threw a tube in it, you'd be lucky to get the tube back on the first hit. And it was coming through it. And over.
I mean, I broke a couple off. I'm not gonna lie. Well, I mean, dude, you're dragging in 30 foot of water on the St. Lawrence River in 1.2 mile an hour current. You're gonna break some stuff off.
Well, yeah. Not only that, your line gets raked by zeebs.
Yeah.
It may not have even been hung that good, and the line is just afraid to beat the band.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a cool thing. I got a bunch more coming, because that's actually becoming something in my arsenal.
And then I spent a couple hours on Oneida before we got blown off the lake, and I was pitching the rock piles out in front, and scored my first ones on that.
Isn't that cool?
On the Matt finesse jig. Now that is small enough to where a rock bass will absolutely truck it.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to mess a rock bass, the Great Lakes Finesse Matt finesse jig in like the 1/8 ounces, your way to go, because
dude, you make no mistakes. You can't.
We also caught. I mean, it kind of got blown off of the off of those rock piles out there and ended up catching them on chatterbait, like in 2 foot of water. But that thing was super impressive too. I was throwing that with a net on the back as well.
Yeah, it's something else. I mean, it's a good system. Dan did a really good job designing that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, he really did. The thing I like about it is it's a balanced system and it works.
Yeah. Now, here's the interesting thing that I found, Frank. I'll probably get fired from the show for saying this. So I went into Champlain and I was like, dude, I'm going to mess them up on this new hover minnow. But this kind of goes in line with some of the shows that you've done as far as knowing your forage, matching the hatch, and the bait fish. It was too small for what those fish wanted at Champlain.
Absolutely.
I was throwing a 5 and a 6-inch bait at Champlain, and this they did not want a 2.5-inch bait.
No, there's
they wanted a bait that was 3 times this size, and I literally like forced the issue on that until I realized, hey, they want a big alewife, they want a big yellow perch, they don't want that little profile. No.
And the funny thing is, the first time I realized that was when I was a wee lad. A wee lad fishing on the Ohio River. All the bait, you know how when you throw a spinner bait on that gator grass edge and it hits the water and all the bait goes.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm out there fishing, and it was back in the day, it was called Redman. It wasn't
BFLs.
BFLs. It was Redman.
And you'd get a spittoon if you got the W.
Yes, I have spittoons. They're full of pennies now. But anyway, so
that'd be the ultimate power move, is show up to the ramp using the spittoon from the week before.
No, you put it on Matt, you put it on the front deck of your boat and you fill it with fish formula so you can dunk your lures
in your spittoon. Anyway, so we digress.
So I was throwing a 1/2 ounce spinner bait and I threw it out there, and all the little bait fish, and they're little tiny ones, doing their thing, and I was like, oh my gosh, this thing's too big. So I made a real tiny compact 1/4 ounce spinnerbait in the boat.
Yep.
And I went back through that stretch and caught, dude, I took 3rd in the tournament. And I went back through the exact same stretch, and they waylaid that little tiny spinnerbait, and they wouldn't touch the big one. And so bait fish size is important.
Yeah.
That's why in these shows on day 4, when I talk about bait fish, you have to know the size of those fish. Because
dude, you would hook one and it would come up and you'd see it down there like 5 foot, and it would be doing this. And then boom. And it'd be either like a 7-inch yellow perch, you'd see the orange fins underneath it, or it'd be like an 8-inch freaking alewife. You'd be like, how does a smallmouth eat something that big? But they wanted something big. I will say this about this bait, though. Like, in the videos, how they're like, hey, it has an entire... Dude, that thing spirals like nobody's business if you let it drop. Because, I mean, I fished some stuff in Vermont that you could see 30 foot down in, and you just put it on that 1/4 and open the bail, and that thing goes. I mean, and it doesn't twist your line. It stays like. I mean, it looks filthy.
Sweet.
It looks filthy.
I can't wait to fish them.
Oh, you haven't fished them yet?
No. I just redid all my GLF stuff. I had to change it up how I packed them.
At least you got yours, because I technically have yours.
Well, yeah, exactly. You do. But what I did was, like I told you, I haven't been spending a lot of time running Lake Erie smallmouth. And so what I'm doing is I'm finding a really good largemouth niche for this stuff. And so now I've got two separate things of GLF stuff. One of them's for largemouth, one of them's for smallmouth.
If he's saying, Matt, is that a single header, or are there multiple in a pack? So
the footballs
do not
are
quote
3.
me on. Even I thought the 3/8 3, or are they 2?
The 3/8 might be 2, and
but
the other ones
most of them
are
all 3. They're 3 at least 3, but the heaviest might be 2, which is the 3/8.
Yeah, but you'll have to double check that because.
But I mean, good luck trying to find a 3/8 ounce Ned head for $350.
Oh, dude.
Less if you use the code capital BTL24.
Correct. Use that code.
because if you do, you get 15% off regularly priced items, and that is a regularly priced item.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I am a fan.
If nothing else, get a pack, and if you don't like them, you don't like them. But those things are worth a pack.
Oh, dude, please! that my daughter's boyfriend was smashing them.
And we've established that he's not Kevin Van Dam.
No, and he looks at me, and his family's got a place on Beaver, a nice place on Beaver Lake, and so he grew up fishing. And he looked at me, he says, I never caught him like this before. And I mean, we had a ball. I mean, he was catching them like crazy. I was laughing so hard. I'm like, throw over there. I go, throw over there. And he throws, and it goes like 6 feet away from it. I go, don't worry, you'll catch one over there. And then he catches one, and I go, throw over there. And he throws, and he doesn't, accuracy, not there. He goes like 6 feet the other direction. I go, don't worry, you'll catch one over there. And he catches one over there. So about the 4th or 5th fish he caught, I said, dude, I'm just going to throw where you need to throw. He's like, yeah, okay. I fire out there, that thing hits the bottom, and I'm like, there he is.
You're going to get a call from your daughter in about an hour after the show. Yeah. Clay said the subtle roasting of Frank's son-in-law.
It's actually not a roast.
Your boyfriend.
Yeah, it's not a roast because I legitimately, the dude's a great guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's a great guy. I told him, I said, I'm taking you fishing, but we're going to go just you and I, nobody else. And he just looks at me, and I go, oh, what, did you see The Godfather? When they took Fredo out fishing.
Just make him throw the swim jig series where all the names of them are intimidating.
Yeah, exactly. the mobster series. That's so
Clay
funny.
says Frank hit him with the jab and Matt got him with the leg kick.
That's how we roll on BTL day 4.
But no, I mean, it was a learning lesson. I learned a lot. I enjoyed the hell out of it. And then the cherry on top was I broke even for the week, got a $2,800 check.
That's the cherry on top is your fishing.
And then that second week of November, I'm on Grand Lake, where I have a lot of experience in November, and the winner goes to the Elite Series, and the top 3 go to the Bassmaster Classic.
That's perfect.
So, I mean, I'm always 3 days away in the opens, but to be one good tournament away from the Elite Series, it basically accomplishes the same thing as fishing the entire open season and going into the last one having to have a good event to qualify. So I kind of short-circuited the system there.
Yeah, but you know what though? I mean, it's there. It's
there, and it's there to take. Bass did a good job on it, and I've always been a fan of the nation. So
perfect. That's cool. Yeah.
God, I think I'm busy now. What the hell do I do if I actually catch him on Grand then?
Well,
that would be wild, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, this is what I was saying, because you and I were going over your schedule coming up, and I'm like, dude, are we going to be able to go? Are we going to get together and fish? Are we going to get together?
Yeah, we'll do a week. We have to have a week in there somewhere. Like I said, I've got another week in Japan and Minnesota and Scotland and Mexico.
Dude, I don't mind waiting until winter.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind, because we got options then. We got several options.
Yeah, December might be a really good month.
Yeah, I mean
December or January.
Yeah, I'm not freaking out about that.
Yeah, Frankie's coming this time.
I'm crashing. Bringing the beer.
Frankie will actually stay at the house. You're so set in your ways. You're like, nope, I get up and I do the same thing, and I don't want to do it in someone else's house. Which I understand now. I totally get that now. I do the same thing every morning.
I'm too quirky, man. I just know. Dude, when I ran the Elites, I stayed by myself.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't know. Not a chance.
Good thing is I've got some good places mile away.
Yeah.
Dude. I got to tell you this story. So Champlain practice day, it's like 5 p.m. at night. And I brought all the stuff to do fish at St. Clair. And then we ended up catching, like, between the three of us, we caught like 2 walleye in 5 days. So we didn't have any meat. I guess we weren't fishing close enough to the shipping channel.
Yeah, but dude, didn't you go salmon fishing and also?
Yeah, but that was lake trout. We ended up catching lake trout, not salmon. I got to show you this picture, Frank. I didn't post it on anywhere. So
did you carve them up, the lake trout?
And while I was at Thousand Islands, I caught an 813 walleye.
Oh,
and I 100% planned on releasing it. I'm all about the catch and release of the giant, the breeders, but I caught it in 60 foot of water, and it's not its air bladder, like its stomach was coming out of its throat. And when I tried to throw it, like,
it wasn't going nowhere.
I tried to revive it. It was dead within 3 minutes.
Oh yeah, it was going nowhere. Way too deep.
Now, the ardent walleye fisherman will not like me saying this, but an 813 walleye tastes exactly like a 2-pounder.
You just oh yeah, dude, that's a stud.
So we ate that, but Clay's going, Matt's gonna have the darkest tan in all of Scotland. That is 100% true. Yeah, so we went out with Travis and my buddy Darren, who I went with. He got the first shot at it, and this was his Laker, which was like a world-class 20-plus pound lake trout.
Oh, God, those are nice, dude.
I mean, Travis was pumped at it. So anyway, long story short, so I've got all the fixins. I've got this walleye. We ate some of it at the time, but an 813 walleye's 2 meals. So I had some walleye, but I needed some more. So it's like 5 p.m., right? And I'm checking this hump. It's like 40 foot deep up there. And I slide up to 30. And the white perch, which I guess are really good to eat, I've never eaten them, are everywhere. But then I see these things that aren't bass and they aren't white perch, and they're strung out kind of across the bottom, but on top of each other, and they're moving. And I pick up a drop shot and pitch it over there. Jumbo.
Nice perch.
Jumbo yellow, like 13-incher.
Oh, sweet.
And I'm like, my God, they're all perch. So at that point, I was done practicing for the day, and I was now perch fishing. I got to find this picture. I ended up catching 11 of them before I lost the school, and they were all like small walleye sized yellow perch. Look at how big they are compared to the freaking live well, Frank.
Yeah, that's money,
those
dude.
Are absolute jumbos. So we went back, seared them up in the cast iron.
Oh yeah.
There they are, and gorged. Had a walleye and yellow perch meal, and then chunked up the walleye, the 813 that sacrificed itself, and had walleye nuggets and fresh yellow perch.
Perfect.
Dude, top 5 meal of my life.
So you didn't answer my question. Did you guys eat any of the Lakers?
No. Release the Lakers.
I just want to know how they
are. They good?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
Travis said that they're not ideal table fare.
Yeah, probably more. They're probably like steelhead.
He said they're not unedible, but they're not ideal.
They're soft and mushy.
Yeah, like mine was like, I mean, it came out with the downrigger, and I guess they have a way of regulating their system so they don't have like an air bladder issue.
Yeah.
And I'll show you mine. Mine was gorgeous. When I caught it, it was a personal best. We were a long way offshore in some really big waves. And, but there you go. You can see it.
Oh yeah. That's nice, dude. That's nice. There you go. Oh, that's a good Laker.
Dude, look how pretty that Laker is.
They're cool as crap, dude. I never caught one.
Really?
Yeah, I never fished for them, but I never caught one.
Yeah, I did eat the cheeks. 100% I ate the cheeks, and they're about the size of like the biggest scallop you've ever eaten.
I know, dude.
Yeah.
100%. Well, that's fabulous, dude. Well, I'm going to just tell you, you have a good time where you're going, on your vacation. Have fun. When you get back, it's going to be a real scattered schedule, as I see.
Yeah, we'll make it work. Dude, look at this. I'm looking through these pictures. Look at this tomahawk I cooked while we were up. So imagine catching 40 smallmouth a day at Thousand Islands and then coming home to that. Dude, is that not Western? Look at that thing. I forgot all about that. We were at the grocery store and they had like zero meat. And then like in the corner, they had these two just manly tomahawk bone ends.
And you're like, no.
I looked at Darren and he looked at me. I was like, are you thinking what I'm thinking? And he's like, I think we're on the same page.
So you scoped them.
Yeah. And then,
I
mean, I'm showing all this, but then we paired it with some candied Brussels sprouts, some roasted portobello mushrooms, a magic onion, and a baked potato.
Perfect.
God, I'm hungry. I haven't eaten hardly anything today.
Oh yeah, I haven't either. That's why I'm trying to make you.
Oh yeah, you've been banging the bathroom out all day. Ripping out the bathroom. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Tearing out the walls.
Yeah.
And we've stooped to a new low.
Oh my God.
We have stooped to a new low in this show, man.
Frankie definitely just logged off.
Yeah, he's like, oh my God. He goes, my father's so embarrassing.
All right, Frank. So yeah, I'm in Scotland next week. Oh, hold on. Well, that deserves the full screen. Thursday, August 1st, tomorrow. In the morning. The Rusty, what is the name of it?
Rusty Buckets.
Rusty Buckets on Lurenet.com. Please, if you're listening to this show, not only does it help you, this is why we show it up.
BTL 24. Okay.
Lurenet supports the show, obviously, sponsors BTL, pays Frank, because people buy stuff that we talk about. But if you're going to buy stuff, use the code capital BTL 24. I get emails that say, how can we help you? Blah, blah, blah. You can use that code. You can save yourself 15% and help us, because they literally go, oh, look, they're buying it using the code. So they must have heard about it during the show. So we're going to continue to support the show so we can bring you more of this debauchery.
If we don't get canceled, it's fair. If we don't get canceled.
Plus, I still owe you money from the t-shirts, and you don't want to owe a SCALISH money. So I'm going to try to figure that stuff out. I'm all over the board tonight, Frank.
All right. Well, just get me set before you go. That's all I care about. I gotta buy tile. I gotta retile a shower now.
All right. Are you got anything else, or are we ready to hit the music?
No, I think we've exhausted our time frame.
All right. This has been another edition, a day 4 with the man Frank SCALISH. Stay tuned to BassZone.com. We'll let you know when the next day 4 is. It won't be next week, but we'll make it up with a couple of live shows, maybe some giveaways. You got some stuff you could give away, Frank, since we're going to miss a week and when we come back live?
Yeah, I do.
Let's do a live giveaway show next. Let's do a link where they can come on and ask questions like we did the last time.
Yeah, that'll be the 15th, right?
Yeah. And let's do
let's do that.
Let's do an extravaganza on August 15th.
Hey, look, you know what? I want to have Todd's father back on too.
Yeah, 100%. We'll get Tom on. Dude, there were 3 times this trip where I wish I had a 5-blade.
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%. On the water you were on, guarantee it.
I spared one because I was cheap and did not get a 5-blade.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's the way to travel, man. I watch on Champlain. I watch the weather really good.
Mm-hmm. I did not,
and I keep it in my boat. Like if it's going to be calm, because Champlain's not like the Great Lakes. Like anytime I'm on Lake Erie, I put the 5-blade on, just because you're going to be so far away from everything. If you get caught, it's almost impossible without jumping in the water to change that prop. in rough water. So I always put it on Lake Erie. But if I'm fishing Lake Champlain or Oneida, I got it in the boat with me.
Yep.
Because there, if it gets rough, you've always got a place you can go where it's not rough to change your prop out.
That's fair.
Anyway, enough said.
All right, this has been another edition of Day 4 with the man Frank Scalish. We'll talk to everyone later.
Out.
See ya.